Hey, good morning, guys. Happy Sunday. Gambino here with another stream. FSEconomy, X-Plane 11 in VR with Oculus Rift, all that jazz. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. I know I am. Anyway, yeah, so today we're going to be flying the Cirrus jet, SF50 jet. This is the stock plane that comes with X-Plane 11, which is nice. And now it's recently added to FSEconomy, which is also nice. Not a particularly large passenger ability, 4 passengers, but still flies pretty quick. It's better for short hauls than long hauls, although we're going to have to do a long haul today with a couple of hops because, and I'll explain in a little bit. Hey, Hawkfish, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Happy Sunday to you too. Yeah, so this series is up in St. John's in New Brunswick. This is the one that the group owns. Its home is Cape May, KWWD. But we had a member, probably a newer member, who flew it up to St. John's without any passengers. And unfortunately, it's 555 miles north of where it should be. So it needs to be back where it belongs so it can work within our Eastern network. So I'm going to take the duty of doing that, although I do have a couple of hops set up to make some money with it coming back. And yeah, so just so you guys know, as members of the group, I did send a note to this person and just explain that, when you use a group plane and you're part of the group, it's good practice to bring the plane, at least leave it within the network. But if you can bring it back to where its home is, that's even better because other people in the group want to use it. Now, I understand it's got rent on it. You can fly it whatever you want, and that's fine. But I think everybody in the group would be appreciative if, when you use the group planes, that you keep them in the network, and if you can, bring them back to where they belong. So, in any event, enough said on that. And for me, it creates a 550 some odd mile trip south with a couple of hops to make some money coming back. Hey, Sapper, how you doing? Yeah, nice little plane, kind of shaped like a dolphin. Always think of a dolphin when I look at this plane. So yeah, we got the stock red livery. I haven't done a livery for this yet. I started to look at it, and it's one of those graphic layouts that is going to be challenging. But I have some ideas on how I'm doing a VR aviation livery, so probably be working on that one next. But in any event, we're going to take this thing. I'll show you the hop we're gonna have the hops we're gonna have here. Let me just get to that so you can see that. All right, so we're going to start in St. John's here. 210 miles to Portland, Maine. And I'll show you the FSC jobs in a second. Then we're going to hit Boston. Then we're going to go all the way over to Caldwell Airport, New Jersey. And then we're going to head 110 miles south to bring her home at Cape May. So that's the idea for today. 588 miles, sorry. We're going to fly high and as fast as we can to get there. As far as the jobs go, you can see we've got St. John's to Portland. We've got 4 passengers, so we'll have $3,000 there. Then we're going Portland to Boston, so we've got 4 passengers. We have 4 passengers there, so we got 20, almost 3,000 there, and then we got 3,600, whatever that is. Yeah, from Boston to Caldwell. So all in all, about $9,700, and hopefully we'll be able to have a decent profit on that. I think we should be able to. 200 gallons in gas. I find this jet, I should say, burns about between 0.4 and 0.5 gallons per mile, nautical mile. That's kind of how I calculate things. So, yeah, iRacer, I am in VR. Yep, I'm using the Oculus Rift. Thanks for joining the stream. So I have a little bit more gas, or actually much more gas than I need to get to Portland, but that's okay. Hopefully, when we land in what do you call it, in Cape May. Hopefully that'll be we'll have plenty of gas. So I'm actually going to set up an assignment here under VR Aviation. We're going to go, what is it? CDW. So we're going to go assignment, VR Aviation, assignment, VR Aviation, and we're going to do new assignment, and we're going to go CDW to KWWD, just so we keep this thing. And we'll just give it, I'll pay myself $1. There we go. So now we've got, where the hell is it? I don't know why it didn't show up there. Maybe we have to go to the airport, CDW. No, maybe it takes a little bit to show up. There it is, CDW. So I'm going to add that to the selection. This way, it's just a complete flight with all group assignments. That's all. By the way, if I use any gas there, the group's going to pay for the gas. All right, so that's my goal here. And we're cold and dark here. We're going to get this plane started up. And let's see, let me get this out of the way. I already have, you can see upper left-hand corner, I already have the flight plan in. Hey, iRacer, thanks for the subscription, man. I really appreciate that. Twitch Prime subscription, appreciate that. Yeah, if you guys got on Amazon Prime, you have the ability to subscribe to one channel per month. At believe it's free for you. Yeah, it's free for you, but you have to redo it. It's not auto renewing. You have to redo it every month so you can spread the love around. And right now, iRacer spread it to me this month. So thanks, man. Appreciate that. So anyway, this is our route here. You can see this the GPS waypoints that we're going to hit, and we could go follow that down with ForeFlight up in the upper left-hand corner there. All right, so good to go there. I'm going to load up FSEconomy now, get that started so I don't forget. That's set up. So now we've got FSEconomy running. And iRacer, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate that.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector?
All right, so let's get inside the plane here. Actually, it's a pretty nice plane. Let me get my advanced menu. I'm going to go to plugins, and I'm going to go to Move VR. And I'm going to go to, I think this guy here is probably the chat. I'm going to move that to, there you go. So now I got my chat in there. This is Move VR. It's a free plugin on the org that you want to definitely check out. So I'll put it right down there. All right, cold and dark. So let's see. Let's get our battery on. 2 batteries. And we go over here, we just hit run, and that turns the plane on. That's pretty much it. Okay? And then we turn our generators on. Get our strobe working, our nav working. We'll put the probe heat on. We don't need ice prevention. We'll go with fresh air. And let's see. The brakes are on. Everything looks pretty nominal. We got our fuel quantity. It says it's reading 180 gallons. So we put 200 in. So that tells you that. And this says 166. All right, sorry, there's the left. Okay, so if you look here, I can't point because if you could put right there, left and right quantity, it says 98 per tank. So that's what we want. But then here it says gallons remaining 166. So I think Laminar's got to fix their MFD here. All right, so but that's good to go. So let's get our flight plan in. We're going to kill this flight plan, delete it. And I have this thing under FMS plans, so we can load that in. Take a look at that, and there's our plan. Okay, you can see perfectly. So I'm gonna go to get the cursor, and I'm gonna move this down to Piet menu activate. So that's gonna be our first waypoint. All right, so we're good there. I like to have flight plan on the inset here, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't use that moving map at all. In fact, this is kind of like a distraction to me, so I just put it over here. And actually, you know what? I could put this here. How about that? That's perfect, man. Perfect place for chat. Isn't that nice? Put it right on. That's cool. So you got that iPad, XPad VR magnet. Well, we're going to put the chat right on there. Beautiful. Cool. All right, so we need to taxi out here. Oh, you guys, let's see here. It's called Move VR. Move VR, Sapper. It's free on Explain.org, and it's much better than Dash. It doesn't really, I haven't seen it take any frame rate hit at all, which is awesome. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. All right, so the nice thing about this MFD, or I should say the Laminar's G1000. Let me get to range here. So if I go in like this, I can actually see the airport, which is kind of cool, and where I am. Although it would be nice if my plane wasn't white, but that's okay. I know I need to, my waypoint is that way, so I need to get over to that runway over there. Now, normally I would have traffic, you know, directing me, but I don't have that here, so. All right, so we've got, let's get our autopilot going. So we're going to fly at, let's see, we got 200 miles, so I'm going to go with 12,000. I think 12,000 is reasonable. That'll get us some decent gas economy, and we won't be too high because we're going to have to descend down to land in Portland. All right, so that's that. We want our nav on. All the autopilot stuff's down here. One thing I don't like is the green light doesn't come on in this plane when you engage the autopilot. All right, so we got nav on there. Why is the autopilot engaged? I don't need that engaged. We're going to go vertical speed. Sorry, yaw damper on. Okay. We're going to go vertical speed, and I want to climb at, you got to roll it down. I want to climb at, I'm going to go at, let's see, 1,000. Feet per minute. And that'll get us a decent climb rate. So all we need to do is, once we get in the air, is hit that autopilot button, and the system will take over. You always seem to ram your hand into your yoke. Yeah, you know what, iRacer, it just takes a, you know, I use the Oculus Rift, and you've got this little space here where your nose, I can't show you, but when you look down with your eye, you can see a little bit of daylight with your nose, and I kind of use that for like awareness of where the yoke is. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. You know, what I try to do is, when I'm going to deal with switches, I use my hat key here, and this helps me move everything up or down. So when I'm messing around with switches, I'll just move it up so I know I'm out of the way of my yoke with the here's the touch controller, right? So I'm out of the way of the yoke, and I can hit the buttons without hitting the yoke. So you set up your hat switch to move your orientation in the cockpit up and down. That kind of helps things out. So anyway, yeah, I have that same problem bumping into the real world. All right, so this plane is very quiet. Let me just see here. I'm going to go to flight controls, I'm going to go to there. We're going to go to sound, and I'm going to bring this up a little bit just so we can hear the outside. Still quiet. All right. Well, I guess it should be. Yeah, it really works to do that. Just kind of keeps things out of the way. All right. So we've got FSEconomy going here. One key thing is you always have to remember to minimize the X-plane mirror window in VR, because that eats up a lot of frames, and you'll notice a big difference in performance. All right, so let's get our taxi on here. So we're going to taxi over to, let's see, which runway is it? Let's figure that out. We're at St. John's, and we're going to taxi to 2-3. You can see the blue button's us there. We're going to taxi over to 2-3 and take off to the south and pick up our waypoint, which we'll just do that right there so we can maximize that first leg. It's going to be quite of a long stream here, guys, so plenty of time to talk about stuff. All right, so here we go here. See our shadow moving there. Pretty good frame rates in this plane, although I have noticed that as you fly it, it gets a little chunky. I'm going the wrong way here. Whatever, whichever way we take off, we'll pick up the GPS vector. We got plenty of gas, so I'm not too worried about it. All right, let's see. Local time 7:20. Sorry, 7:26 in the morning. So check out the outside. Let's take a look at this plane. This little egg-shaped dolphin. I tell you, these things are pretty cheap on FSC right now. You could pick one up for like 500 grand if you want one. It's a nice little, plane. It doesn't fly much different than the
approaching runway 32.
Thank you. It doesn't fly much different than the SR20 as far as landing it.
Entered runway 32. 4,800 feet remaining.
We're 32, so we're going the other way, but that's all right. We'll just turn around. We'll take off, turn around, and pick up our vector. All right. Hopefully they'll put checklists in here at some point. They don't have them now, but hopefully they'll put that in there. All right, we're going to assume checklists and seatbelts fastened, passengers ready to go. We got everything ready to roll here. All systems are checking out. Let me just get this thing back to. Oh, one thing you want to make sure is you want to set your vertical flaps. You can see they're right there. So I mean your elevators, not elevator trim, I should say. And we want flaps to the first notch for takeoff, and we're ready to go. I don't want to raise that sound a little bit. It's a little too. There you go. All right, here we go. And we're off. Pretty smooth frame rates. Like I said, it does tend to deteriorate as you fly a little bit. I'm not sure if that's like a memory leak issue, and people like to throw around that memory leak term. Where you can see us heading down the runway right there. We're going to make a left turn, and pick up our GPS vector. And we're looking at 110 and rotate. pretty quickly. Gear up. Flaps up. Beautiful St. John's. Now, I don't have ortho up here yet. Just haven't built it up yet. All right, let's get our autopilot on. All right, so let's see what she's doing here. Better watch our speed in this plane. I like to have cruising at about 80%. Hey, Bug Eater, how you doing, man? How are things in South Carolina in that RV? Yeah, well, South Carolina always has high humidity. I've been to Hilton Head. Spent some time there a couple years ago. It was a really nice place, but yeah, it is humid, man. But it's, I don't know, to me it's like a therapeutic humid. I don't know why. Maybe because I don't live there. All right, let's get this plane up in the air here. Now, it's odd because it's got this yellow indication once you go past like 200 knots. But the cruising speed of this plane, I think, is like 272. That's probably at altitude. Let me see. At cruising altitude. So, no, 240, sorry. 240 is a cruising speed. So I guess we want to kind of keep things a little tight, you know. See, our ground speed's 217. So we'll just throttle this back a little bit, keep it around 200. I keep it at 210. This plane is touchy to fly. I mean, when you're yoking it, it's, you move the yoke a little bit. This plane, you can see this plane moves pretty. I'm barely touching the yoke, and it moves pretty easily. All right, there's our. Actually, you know what? I don't like this. I like to go to menu. I like track up. That's why I was getting confused. All right, we can. Bring our range out a little bit. All right, 4,000 feet. Getting ready to do some sim flying. All right. Oh, you're updating X-Plane. Okay, coming. Where you coming to? Is it 11.21? I guess now. I found that I updated to the current release, and then I had to update to the current and hit the beta check button because I had some issues. Like when I updated, I wasn't able to use like windowed instead of full screen. I couldn't use windowed screen. I don't know, so I had to like update again and tick the beta button. So that's the problem I ran into. But since then, everything's running super smooth. There's this New Brunswick province of Canada, which is really supposed to be a beautiful place. I might want to vacation up there someday. I think that's where, oh no, Nova Scotia is where the Trailer Park Boys are. If you guys watch Trailer Park Boys, they're I believe they're in Nova Scotia. It's a great show. Funny guys. All right, so we've got quite a haul here, guys. We're 195 to Piat, which is about 10 miles from Portland. So we've got about an hour, but that should pick up. We should pick up some speed here as we get altitude. Get up to 12,000. I do a lot of this high flying in the Challenger, obviously, up to, I usually fly about 32,000 in the Challenger. So, yeah, it's fun. It's especially with ortho. It looks pretty cool with ortho. But it's interesting as you go higher, you know, these are aviation things that I'm sure pilots, jet pilots understand that I'm learning. As you go higher in a jet, you need more power to go faster. Yeah, if I leave the throttle here at 85%, as I elevate, you could see the airspeed is decreasing, which is, you know, physics. Yeah, I sold it to him. I gave him a discount on it. I think I paid about $9.50 for it, so I sold it to him for like nine. I think I paid $9.75. That's what I bought it for, and I sold it to him for the same. Oh, Megaphone. That's right. Megaphone bought one. I sold one to Mike. Yeah, I had two of them. One on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, and I was like, why do I have two Challengers? I don't need two Challengers. So Mike was interested in buying it, so I sold it to him. For the next, whatever the next plane is that we want to buy. Yeah, it's a cool plane. You can make good money in it. I mean, you know, basically you get those $25,000 cargo flights, and you can make, especially if you have you have to own the plane. If you don't own the plane, you won't make money. But if you own the plane, you can do really well with the Challenger. You know, in like 6 flights, you can make $100 grand. But that's going to take some time. So, you know, I do use time. I speed up time a little bit when I'm doing, you know, really long flights, like 800-mile flights. So I just don't have the time to sit there in front of the thing for 2 hours. So I'll speed it up a little bit when you're at altitude, and then I'll come back to time when I'm, you know, usually when I'm climbing or I'm descending. Yeah, the C-130, it's hard to make money in that. You have to have a crap load of cargo, and you have to own it. You can't rent it. There's no way you can rent it because they charge so much to rent them. And, you know, you have to, what you said, you got to watch your fuel. It's tough to make money in that. Yeah, that's fine, Sapper. I don't think many people are going to rent that thing. So, I mean, if you just want to keep it and not lease it to the group, that's fine. I don't think we have more GA flyers than, you know, long haul flyers. So, I mean, it's nice of you to lease it to the group, but I don't think you really need to. Because I think you're the only person that's going to use it, you know? Yeah, but what I'm afraid of is that if someone rents it and they use it to do, you know, just like a ridiculous hop with no passengers, but they spend $8,000 on fuel, that's going to hit the group, you know? So I'd kind of rather not have it. I don't mean to, you know, be like, you know, I appreciate I appreciate you wanting to do it, but it's almost like a danger having it because there's not enough opportunities for it. And like this guy that flew this plane, we had a member that flew this plane up from Cape May all the way up to St. John's with basically no passengers, and you know, it cost the group probably about not 4,000, like $3,000, you know? So if someone jumps in that 130 because they have the free one, you know, the free version, and they want to fill it with gas and just fly it on a joyride, and we pay $20,000 for gas, that's like a danger. So I would say if you don't mind, don't lease it to the group. Because it's a landmine, you know. That's like with the same with the Challengers. Like I think I leased my Challenger to the group, and somebody got in it. I can't remember. There was one guy, and I actually banned him. He got in the Challenger. Yeah, but you'd have to have a ridiculously high fit distance bonus, like ridiculously high, like $20,000, and it still might not cover it. And then you'd have to fly it back. It's almost like better not to have that plane. But when I had the Challenger leased to the group, he leased it. I don't think he was a group member. He rented it, and he filled the tank with gas, like $7,000 worth of gas, and flew it like 20 miles and left it there. And that's what someone could just, like this guy, someone could join the group. We don't know who they are. They could rent the 130, fill it with $40,000 worth of fuel, and just leave it there. And then the group. So basically, what happens is the group just paid $40,000 for fuel, and the plane is sitting there with no use. So it's like better off not having it, because you do have the FSE trolls, which to me is amazing, but you do have those FSE trolls. All right, we hit altitude here. We're cruising at 229. I'm gonna boost that up a little bit here. Keep it to GA planes, because those are easier to manage, and then you can't get in too much trouble. Like this guy that flew this plane up here, I sent him an email. He didn't reply back. I'm gonna give him one more chance, because to me, it's just not fair to people. We're trying, and the brunt falls on the group. I'm not complaining about it. It's supposed to be fun, but one of the aggravating things is that you can't control who rents your plane, right? Even if they're a member of the group, you can't control what they're going to do with your plane. You can't put any, like it would be really cool if you could put a parameter on a plane that only allowed it to fly within the network. Like basically, let's say this plane was in Cape May, and it had a parameter on the plane that said it's only allowed to fly to these airports, and I would basically list out all the airports in the network. That way, the plane would have to be in the network. I mean, that would be a really cool feature, right? Because that way, if a group had a plane, it would automatically govern it from some Yahoo jumping in it, filling it with gas, and flying at 6,000 miles. Just because he wants to be a pain in the ass. So, it was one of the suggestions. I was going to actually post that on the forum. So I think that would be a really cool feature. Limit the plane within a certain airports. Then you don't have to worry about it, right? So, like for example, if you have a B1900D at LaGuardia, and you're renting it out, you don't need a distance bonus then, because all you need to do is say you're only allowed to go to these 17 airports within this network. It's within a 200-mile radius. So that way, if someone leaves it out there, it's not, you could be able to pick up passengers because you'll be at an airport that's going to have passengers and bring it back. It would be a really good feature. Because, as Sapper knows, and other guys know, like Sapper, I think you had to fly, I think you flew a Baron like almost 600 miles that some Yahoo flew out of the network in the West one time, right? That's a pain in the neck. You got to spend a couple of hours flying a plane. Now this, I made jobs out of it, so that's fine. Yeah, 500, 800 miles. Yeah, so who wants to do that, right? That's not, I mean, I guess it's an adventure to do, so it's part of the deal. But, it's like, it's a pain in the neck, So if you could do that, if you could limit a plane to certain airports, it would solve that problem. Be a great feature. fact, I'm going to write it up and put it on the suggestion, the feature suggestion. I mean, that's why I stopped renting my Challenger, because it happened a couple of times and I got tired of it. I'd rather just not rent it and just keep it to myself. And the thing is, you can't, as example is this plane right here. This was flown up from Cape May to St. John's, New Brunswick by a member of the group, of the VR Aviation. So you can't even if you rent it for $0 and it's only members can use it, they can still do that kind of thing, because, you know, it's a game. You don't have really control over what people do. So if you had some parameter on the plane that allowed you to govern where it went, it'd make things a lot more manageable. Yeah, because like I said in the beginning, the idea is you join a group because you want to use the planes that are in the areas that you like to fly in, right? So, you know, yeah, exactly. It's like Airplane Repo. That's a great show, by the way. Although it's completely fake, it's still kind of cool to watch. All right, let me get a handle. We're 150 miles out. We're gonna have to come down. Let me see, altitude. It's right along the coast here. So let's see. Portland is at 76. So we're gonna have to come down to 2,000. So 10,000 feet. So at 1,000 feet per minute, it's a 10-minute. So basically, when we get 10 minutes outside, 15 minutes outside, we're gonna have to start to descend. Which is good, because we're flying at 213 airspeed and 254 ground speed, which is what you want. You want that efficiency. 82% on the engines, which is fine. Everything looks pretty nominal. Let's see what it looks like outside. You know, I was thinking it would be really cool if sim coders did a reality expansion pack for this jet, because I don't think it's really realistic. I mean, I've never flown one, but it doesn't seem like it's realistic. Like, it doesn't have that heavy feel to it. Like when you fly the DA62, you get that heavy sense of heaviness with the yoke, you know. So hopefully someone will improve this plane a little bit, because it is a cool plane to fly. Do I ever use Pilot Edge? Yep, I do. I haven't used it in a while. I'm a subscriber to ZLA, just the Southern California area. I'm up to Cat 4, but I stopped doing that because I got so into FSE that I kind of neglected that. But I need to go back to Pilot Edge and you know, fly the Cessna around Southern California. So yes, I do have a subscription. You know, I get on there maybe once a week or so, which isn't enough. But Pilot Edge is really cool. It's a cool service. You know, I find that, you know, rather than pay the $369 a year, I'd rather just use Southern California. Yeah, it is great in PE. You know, I have to get better at radio communications. I'm pretty weak in that area and not confident enough to be able to fly into Class C, or, you know, into towered airports and stuff, and do flight following and all that. But I need to make an effort to do that, and you know, it's on the list to do for sure, because I'd like to combine it. But the problem is that the Pilot Edge area that I subscribe to, we don't have a network, right? So I like to fly in our networks too, because when we fly in, you know, the Burt Mooney KBTM, or we fly in the Cape May networks, our group is making those ground fees and gas money and all that. So that money's going back in, you know. So I like to try to promote flying in our network. But the Cat 5 system that Keith designed, and the I ratings, it's a genius way to do it, because someone with absolutely no knowledge of aviation can start with a Cessna 172. Let's just say call it X-Plane. I mean, I know you could use others, but with X-Plane, a free 172. Maybe if you want to buy the reality expansion pack, that's fine for $20, okay? And you could subscribe to Pilot Edge and, you know, start with a Cat 1 rating, read through it, and tells you exactly what to do, and you can learn over time how to become an aviator, a VFR aviator with the Cat ratings. You know, you want to get into instruments, then you can go to the I side, which is a little bit more complicated. But, you know, certainly for someone who wants to be a real world pilot, Pilot Edge for $20 a month is a great way to get acclimated to it. It's not official training for FAA certification or anything like that, but it's a great way to get acclimated because they take it really seriously. The pilots on there take it really seriously, and you know, you can learn a lot from it, so it's cool. Yeah, thanks, Bug Eater. I'm still, you know, I'm still a hack. Certainly from communications perspective, but I feel like I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I feel like I have like an inherent ability to fly a plane. And I'm going to tell you why. And my great-grandfather, this is absolutely 100% true. My great-grandfather was a pilot, and a private pilot. I don't know if he flew in World War I, he might have, but a private pilot, and he owned an airport down in South Carolina where he had 7 planes, and they were the sister ship to the Spirit of St. Louis, okay? And he used to run, I have his logbooks, he used to run mail and cargo from South Carolina to Florida, and even went down like to South America and stuff. But he used to run mail and cargo for the U.S. Mail and for some cargo, for some, you know, companies that needed him to fly cargo. He had pilots working for him. And he had his own plane that he used to fly all over the place with. Like he actually lived in New Jersey, but he had his airport down in South Carolina, so he would fly back and forth, believe it or not, from South Carolina and make multiple, you know, those days I guess you had to make a lot of stops because, you know, the gas tanks probably weren't as big and the engines weren't as efficient. But he would, you know, he has these great logs of all these places that he flew. And I did meet him once when I was a little kid. I remember him being very old, sitting in the chair. He's probably in his 80s, and I was, you know, like 5, okay, 4 or 5. And I remember him, and I remember what he looks like. But having that vision in my mind of him being a pilot all those years always had me like interested in that. And actually one of my cousins kind of felt the same way, and he actually became a pilot, and he has like an aviation, I actually found out last week he's got a aviation maintenance company, but that he owns. But in any event, I feel like I've got this in my DNA, even though I've never flown a plane. I've been in some smaller jets and stuff, smaller planes, but I've never flown a plane. I kind of feel like I have it in my DNA, which is, you know, why that, I don't know, like I feel it's like easy for me. Like I never had a problem with it in VR. Now, real world is completely different. I understand that. Maybe this thing is all like a hokey spiritual thing that I'm connecting to my great-grandfather. But, you know, truth be told, I feel like I have this inherent ability to understand flight without actually knowing the science behind it. You know what I mean? I hope you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, so he was a cool guy, and he actually started out as a rum runner when he was in his 20s. He ran rum from out the outskirts of New York City into the shores of New Jersey, And actually, you heard this. You heard this expression, the real McCoy. You know, they'll say something is the real McCoy. That's the real McCoy. Well, that's an expression that actually came from a guy named Bill McCoy, who used to own this big schooner that used to fly, not fly, used to sail down from Canada with rum and booze, whiskey, Canadian whiskey, really. And my great-grandfather, as well as a bunch of other entrepreneurs, used to fly, cruise out there on their speed skiffs. The Jersey speed skiff was actually invented by the rum runners because they could outrun the Coast Guard boats and the Navy boats. He would take his boat out to meet Bill McCoy, and he would load up his skiff with booze, and he would bring it back to the Jersey coast. And the real McCoy, that expression came out of when someone asked you, where did this booze come from? They would say it's the real McCoy, because it came from Bill McCoy, and he was known. And you could read about Bill McCoy. I forget the name of his boat, but or his ship really. But he was known to have good whiskey, because back then everybody would water it down, or they would put like rubbing alcohol in it. You know, it was kind of like, could be pretty nasty, you know. So he actually distributed liquor that from Bill McCoy, you know. And like my grandmother used to tell stories about my great-grandfather being on the telephone with people like Dutch Schultz and stuff like that. Now, I mean, this is what she used to say, that he was in connection with all those guys that were, you know, pretty notorious people. And even like Joe Kennedy, apparently he had some relationship with. Because back then, Joe Kennedy was the rum runner in New England, right? So it's really interesting when you go back and look at the rum runners and how what they did kind of built commerce in the East, you know? It really did, because it created all this money that once Prohibition was repealed, they then took that money and put it into legitimate businesses that were trucking businesses and shipping businesses and all that. Like my great-grandfather put it into a plane, you know, aviation business. And so it's kind of cool. Those stories are kind of cool. But yeah, so that's where he started, and then he ended up taking all his money and putting into aviation. Now, the unfortunate part of his story was that this was before the 1929 crash, and his investment acumen wasn't that great. So he had invested in a lot of shitty companies, so he got taken down when the stock market crashed quite a bit. But the main thing that really hit him was that his airport got hit by a hurricane. I forget which hurricane, and it wiped out all his planes and all his hangars and everything like that. And back then, you didn't have insurance, so he was done. He basically, in the space of like 18 months, he lost all his planes, he lost his airport, and he lost most of his money in the stock market crash. So maybe that was like fate, you know, giving him a little bit of karma, because, you know, he made money on the back of criminal behavior back then, even though when you think about it, you know, rum running and liquor, you know, wasn't as criminal as we don't see it as, we see it as kind of a joke today that it was ever illegal. But still, he made his money by illegally transporting alcohol. So, you know, maybe karma got him in the ass. But, you know, if there hadn't been a stock market crash and there hadn't been a hurricane in South Carolina, I probably wouldn't be talking to you on Twitch right now because he had a lot of money. But in any event, just kind of a cool story. All right, so where are we? I got to reminisce in there. We got 22 minutes, so I'm not going to go down quite yet here. We're starting to get into the ortho, though. Let's see where we are here. We're definitely in ortho country here. And Bar Harbor. So that's Bar Harbor's Maine, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, thanks, Piper. It's I've actually thought about writing a book about it, but I don't know enough about all of his escapades, and I don't. It would take a lot to dig to find it out. I wouldn't if I ever did do that. I would want to make sure it was historically as accurate as possible. It would make kind of a cool movie. I thought, the Rum Runners. Although there's a lot of documentaries about the Rum Runners and a lot of books written about it. He's in a couple of books by his nickname. I'm not going to give away his nickname because that if you research that, you probably would be able to figure out who it was. But anyway, so it's kind of a cool thing. But what's cool about it is we've got it's not. I know it's true because my grandparents kept a lot of the documentation. Hey, M9, how you doing, man? They kept a lot of the documentation, so we know for sure he was a rum runner. We know for sure that he had this airport. We have pictures of the airplanes, My grandmother used to say that when she was young, she had a limousine pick her up at her house and drive her to school every day, her and her sisters, right, and her brother. And all of a sudden, she said, it all went away. And that's when the stock market crashed in 1929. And, they basically lived in one of the biggest houses in town, and they had limousines, and they had servants and all that crap, because he made all this money from rum running. And I remember, he had this big safe in his house, a big, huge safe. And it was open. There was nothing in it. And my mother told me that at one time that safe used to be filled with money, and that he said to her, my great-grandfather said to my mother, I have so much money, your grandchildren couldn't spend it all. That's what he said. So that's how much he lost in the stock market. Just laugh about it. All right, 19 minutes. We're going to go down to, what did I say, 2,000? So let's get that dialed in. M9, you missed it. I was telling the story about my rum running pilot great-grandfather. Another Sunday. Yep, beautiful Sunday. All right, let's see. So we're going to vertical speed. And we're going to head down at, we'll go down at 800. So I have to crank back on the throttle here. This plane doesn't have auto throttle, to my knowledge. Yeah, it was cool to think about when I was a little kid because, you have this relative with this storied past. So, I remember imagining what my grandmother used to tell the stories, and I remember imagining what it might have been like and what it might have been like to be with him. Pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna head down to 2,000 for our first hop into Portland. Drop 3 people off or 4 people off, pick up 4 people, and then head down to Boston. So M9 Aviation, who also streams from time to time and is a real-world pilot, is working on Cirrus jet recovery flight, exactly. Because we had a member fly at 550 miles north to St. John's, New Brunswick, without any passengers in it for whatever reason. So anyway, I'm bringing it back. But M9 is working on 3D scenery for our eastern hub, which is KWWD, which is Cape May. So nice of him to do that. And a lot of work to do those things. So he did one for 33N, Delaware Airport. and he did one for Ridgely, which is Ridgely, is it? KRJD. So this would be his third one, which is cool. 85% done. Awesome. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it. All right, so once I land this plane and we'll get it back on track to go to Boston. Let's see how many miles we have. We'll go over. Yeah, that should be enough time to go over the financials, the May financials for our group, which had a really good month. I believe it's like over 4 million in revenue, which is good, and lots of flights, like 1,100 flights between the two FBO networks, which is great. I'm sure it's going to be great and awesome, dude. Let's put it this way. It's going to be more awesome than what's available now. That's for sure. So we're looking forward to seeing that. And you'll put that, it'll be on the org. All of his, all of M9's creations are on the org. If you want to put the link to your org page or whatever, just put it in chat there, M9. You can download. You got to download a couple of libraries. He actually created a VR Aviation library that has our terminal and also our planes liveries that you know, that you fly into the you roll into the hangar and you'll see like R208 and R PC12. Pretty cool. And the terminal actually has the VR Aviation logo on it, which is nice. You'll see it when we land. Well, actually you won't, because it's not a KWWD, but if you look at, if you go on the org and download the 33N1, install it, which is pretty easy. It's pretty cool. And also, SimPilot did one for N57, I think it was. He was nice enough to do that for N57. That one's available too. I think he did VA 57 too. Yeah, he did VA 57. Piper, we have two networks. One is based at KWWD, Cape May, in the east. And in the western mountains of Montana, we have KBTM, which is Burt Mooney. And in each one of those areas, we have pretty solid network. I think we've got over close to 40 FBOs now between the two networks. The East Coast one goes up to like lower New York State and down to Virginia and out to Pennsylvania, so it kind of spokes. If you go on our website, let me see, I can put, let's see, how much, yeah, we got a little time here. Let me show you. Here's our, this is our Western network. Okay, this is KBTM in the center here, and you can see we go up into the Blackfoot, into the Fort, whatever that is. So we've got a nice network here in the west. You can get to any one of these FBOs just by going to our website, clicking it. And this is the Eastern hub right here. It's Cape May, the southern tip of New Jersey. We go down to Virginia, out to Pennsylvania, like almost by Pittsburgh. This is KWAY, and then up into like Scranton, near Scranton, and up into lower New York State. So that's our hub in the east. And this is the website. I'll just put that right here. Want to check out our website? There you go. Thanks, M9. That's the scenery pack if you want to download the stuff. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, we can see definitely an ortho turret. It looks so cool from up here. Look how it just moves smoothly by. I can stick my head out the window here without any stutter. Looks pretty real to me. I mean, it doesn't look absolutely real, but certainly convincing enough to feel immersion, which is what we want. Yeah, no problem, M9. I know you like doing it. You could check out his stuff there and contact him if you're interested in him doing an airport for you. I'm not sure how much time he has, but I know that M9 will do airports basically for FSE money, reasonable rates, and I'm not sure if you want me to say that or not, but that's there. If you're interested, just contact him and he can, maybe do an airport for you. He's got the patience to do that. He has a stream where he was doing it. I was watching him, and it's complicated, man. All right, we're coming down to just through 6,000. Airports and custom 3D objects. Yeah, so contact him. M9 Aviation. He's on YouTube. He's on Twitch. He's on my Discord. So if you want to join the Bambino VR Discord, you can reach out to him there. I think he's got his own Discord too. And for reasonable FSE virtual dollars, he will do some cool creations for you. So check him out. Yeah, the other one I want to talk about today is, here's a quick peek at KWWD. Oh, cool. Let's see. No problem, Piper. Thanks for checking them out. We're going to talk a little bit about Sim VR Labs, which is another dude, Joe, I forget his last name, that was in a part of the Facebook group. Yeah, you can't upload pics to Twitch, dude. You can put links to them, but you can't upload them. But join if you want. If you want to put it in the Discord and my Discord, and people can check it out in the VR Aviation thread. But Sim VR Labs, another guy who has started a project where he is enhancing the in-cockpit manipulation with touch controllers within planes, third-party planes especially. And it's basically free. He accepts donations, which is cool, but it's free, and it's a cool thing. Sim VR Labs. I'm going to show you the website in a little bit here. But if you're interested in like the 208, the Carenado 208, the PC-12, two big ones, the 404, he did a Mustang, a couple others. He's basically created the VR configuration file so that you can manipulate these planes with touch controllers, which makes them basically VR compatible, if you will. So we'll go over that in a little bit. So anyway, we're going to get ready to land here. 40 miles, 10 minutes. It's my range, 2-mile range. I like 2.5-mile range. This G1000 is really touchy with the controls. They need to, I mean, it's gotten better than it was. It was terrible before, but they need to change the granularity so that it takes a longer turn of the wrist to make it move. Because right now you slightly move your wrist and everything moves. It's kind of hard to control sometimes. Hopefully Laminar will fix that. They did fix the flight plan text, like it was really small and hard to read, but they changed that. They made it blue, easier to read, larger. So they have made some improvements, but I think they still have a way to go with it. All right, so we're coast to Maine here, I believe. Looks pretty nice. Local time 7:12. I guess, did we cross a time zone? We must have. We took off at 7:26. We must have crossed the time zone. All right, 9 minutes. Just coming down to 2,500 feet. Cruising at 225. Man, that is a nice place to put the chat right there. Perfect. right, let me get my... You can see I just touched that yoke to change the, to move myself back in the seat, and look how the plane reacted. It's very touchy. Yeah, I'm still using MoveVR. I think MoveVR is the best. From my perspective, from what I've seen, MoveVR is the best in cockpit VR window thingy. It's a great great plugin. I mean, it could be a little bit easier to read, but I'll put up with that. But it's so much less intrusive than Dash. Because Dash, you got to go outside. You got to go into the Dash. It's a pain in the ass. This is so much easier. Just pull up the plugin and it works. It is an X-Plane plugin, and it doesn't require any other plugins. It works on its own. The dude who invented this should be charging $5 for it. I'm gonna donate him $5 because it's 100% worth it. MoveVR. I was gonna do a video on it, but it's so easy to use that, you know, as long as you know about it, pretty simple. All right, we got 27 miles to our turn. Now, I find M9 landing and everybody else landing this plane is very similar to the SR20, where you want to get it down to about 90 knots. I think it's 90, and just keep her on a good trajectory. Flare it out, drop the throttle, put her down. Seems to be very similar to the way it landed SR20 in VR. You know, I don't know real life, but M9 knows real life. But when I've watched pilots do it in real life, that's pretty much how they do it, right? 80 in SR20 or 22. 80 knots, I think, over the fence, flare it up over the numbers, drop the throttle, let her come to the ground. And this plane lands the same way. I mean, I think that's why Cirrus has this as a transition for SR22 pilots that want to go to a jet. You know, if you got the $1.2 million, whatever it costs to buy it, the flight characteristics, I think they tried to keep it similar. You know, this would be a cool plane to have. Oh. 75 knots, yeah. The only thing I don't have down on this is the speeds for flaps. But I'm assuming it's like similar. I assume that it's similar to the SR20, so it's like 119, I think, for the first notch. Somewhere around there. So that's what I kind of use as a rule of thumb. Yeah, but don't you have to be like certified to fly a jet? Single engine jet? Don't you have to have like, can you fly that with a private pilot's license? Yeah, that's what I thought. 1,800 an hour. Jesus. And that doesn't include gas, right? I'm sure. Yeah, you got to be certified on it. Oh, that's wet with a pilot? Oh. Well, it's still a lot of money, but... Now, let me ask you a question. So, let's say that I wanted to fly from 33N to Atlantic City, right? And and I rented they had a jet there. They had this jet there, the Cirrus there. And I wanted to, basically rent the jet. I had 4 people that were going with me, or 3 people that were going with me. We split the cost, right? But it's probably about, 20-minute flight, right? So we split the costs, we went gambling, and then we fly back. Now, do you pay the hourly rate while the plane's on the ground waiting for you to come back? As you said, with a pilot, right? Or let's say not Delaware. Let's say it's an hour away, like you're going from like Washington, D.C. area to Atlantic City, right? Or let's say you wanted to fly one out to... My question is, when the plane is idle, like if I flew out to Vegas in it, right? And the plane was idle for 2 days, right? Do I pay for that? Or do I only pay for flight time? Because when you think about it, $1,800, right? Because you could fit 4 people in this plane, right? Passengers. $1,800 is not really that bad. Standby rate, okay. Okay, I mean, it's not really that bad when you think about it. Like, what is that? For like $500? It's like $500 for an hour flight per person if you have 4 people in there, right? So it would cost you $1,000 to go there and back. Let's say it was an hour away, right? You were an hour away from your destination. $1,000 there and back per person. And then whatever standby time would be. So maybe it would cost you what, like $1,200? I guess that's a lot more than it would cost you to fly commercially, that's for sure. But still, it's not that bad, right? That's why I often wondered about NetJets, the cost of that. Because there it's basically co-op too. It's like the Uber of regional jets, Most rental places pay the time the engine is running, and most rental places have minimum per day. If you keep it a day, maybe it's like 4 hours. That would be kind of cool, right? Ubering a Cirrus Vision Jet. What about the Honda Jet? Isn't that the competitor to this? But no one would rent the jet. Really? They don't rent? Really, Hawk? No one rents a Cirrus? You couldn't rent a Cirrus or a small jet? Yeah, the Honda's more expensive. Probably has a longer range, too. I think, doesn't the Honda have 2 engines? I think it has 2 engines. So, Hawk, you're saying you can't rent this jet? Like, people don't rent out a Cirrus? Well, there's not many of them, right? There's like, what, 60 of them made? So. All right, I'm going to start paying attention to aviation here. So I've got 3 miles to my turn, and we're at 160. Oh, I see. Yeah, you're saying no one would rent this without a pilot. I agree with that. Yeah, they wouldn't let you take their They wouldn't let you take their Cirrus Vision Jet and fly it, right? You'd have to be leasing it with insurance and all that crap, and certified, etc. Phenom 100. Well, I think the selling point on this one is that it's basically the computer systems are so advanced that it's extremely easy to fly. At least the videos that I've watched of people flying it, they say it's extremely easy to fly. Altitude 1,500.
Altitude 1,500 feet.
I'm gonna get my speed down here, vertical speed. Oh, there's my airfield here, so let me just... Alright, I'm not gonna be able to watch chat right now, guys. I gotta bring this plane down. Let me get my trim up a little bit. I gotta slow this plane down. Let's get the gear down. Coming into Portland, Maine. I guess it's definitely, isn't it a shipbuilding area, or is that Bath, Maine? I can't remember. All right, gear is down and locked. You get your 3 green down on that little panel, which is kind of hard to look at, but it's down and locked. Get those second notch of flaps
500.
in there. 500 feet. We're coming to 90. 87. Keep it right around there. Get that flare. It's a little bit early on the throttle, but should come down okay. There we go. I'm going to use those brakes to stop because I want to take off in this direction. So, all right, set parking brake. Set parking brake.
Parking brakes set.
Beautiful. All right, let me get my FSE stuff taken care of. I'm dropping off 4. And we're picking up 4 to Boston. We got 99 gallons, which should be, I'm gonna just pull this up here. Now this is gonna say for 100 gallons, 100 miles, we need 20 gallons. I totally disagree with that. On this plane, they had these screwed up. On this plane for 100 miles, you need 50 gallons. I have enough to get to Boston, but I'm going to need fuel anyway, so I'm just going to go to 200 just to be safe. And that'll get me 83 miles to Boston. So let's get start the flight. You can see it go en route, which it is. So we're good to go there. Quick flight here. Make sure we minimize this window. All right, so Boston's, we're going to be coming over the ocean too, so we don't really have that far to go. Altitude 7,000.
Altitude 7,000 feet.
We're going to fly at 7. And we're going to go nav, flight director, nav, vertical speed, and we'll climb at 1,000. Beautiful. Let's get her up in the air. Flaps are set to the first notch. Brakes off. And rotate. Gear up. Flaps up. Let's get to 500 feet and then we'll turn that autopilot on. Autopilot is on. See, wouldn't it be nice to have a green light right there that tells you that the autopilot's engaged? That's a little thing that they missed. All right. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Batty MDZ Han. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining the stream. Heck yeah, it was a pretty nice landing. All right, we're on our way to Boston. And we've got about 20 minutes. Well, I'm going to throttle back here to about 80%. We are over speeding. We're going to climb to, I'm actually going to climb to 5,000. Altitude 5,000.
Altitude 5,000 feet.
All right. What I'm going to do is let's save the aviation update for the flight from Boston to Caldwell, because that's a lot longer. See, this is a short flight. So we'll do the VRA update on that next leg. Yeah, it's a charter. Wouldn't that be cool to charter a Cirrus Vision Jet? That would be really cool. That would be really cool. Let's see. Hawk, don't mean to put the product, but really enjoying Ultra Weather XP and V. Oh, okay. Ultra Weather XP. Are you involved with them, Hawk Fish, or just happen to be using it? This is probably a good time, though, to once we get to altitude here. We'll take a look at the SimVR. Just want to make sure we get to altitude and we're flying correctly. Yeah, they need a green indicator on that little light there, that little LED. It never lights up when you put the autopilot on. Something they should fix. All right, going to level out though. Although the G1000 works really nice in this plane, so can't complain about that. We'll level off and we'll bring it to 80%. Yeah, this plane's pretty easy to land. All right, that's cool, Hawk. So here's my question. So with X-plane native weather, Laminar's weather, I have always gotten this horrible cloud shadow flicker. With any cloud in VR. So whatever the cloud is, it would produce when it produced the ground shadow for that cloud, that shadow would flicker constantly. Do you have that problem with ultra weather? Do the clouds flicker? All right. You don't see it with the add-on. Only bad thing is a huge rotating billboard. Huge rotating billboard? What do you mean? The colors in that are really enjoyed. Nice shading. I don't know, what do you mean billboard? I'm confused by that. All right, let's see. 14 miles. We're gonna have to get down to 1,500. So altitude 1,500. No, altitude 1,500.
Altitude 9,500 feet.
Altitude 1,500.
Altitude 1,400 feet.
That's good enough. All right, so let's get to let's go to our vertical speed. See, I'm just touching that throttle and this plane's moving. That shouldn't happen. Vertical speed. Let's go down 500 feet per minute. Rotating billboard. I'm not sure. Is that like in flight? Oh, 2D clouds. Oh. Okay, I have to. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna investigate that. I'm gonna investigate that. Let's see. Mr. Shiggy Pilot. Shiggity Pilot. like shiggity. Can get my ForeFlight to work in VR. It shows up, but it's just a gray window. Are you using Dash? Are you using Oculus Dash? Because if you are, Oculus Dash, I've had the same problem with it. It hasn't worked since their last update to bring any windows into VR. So I'm using Move VR and it works just fine. Yeah, forget Dash. So go to the X-Plane.org and look for a plugin called Move VR. That's what I'm using here. You can see this chat window right here. And let me show you how it works. So actually, do I have time to do that? Because I've got 49 miles. Yeah. So I'm going to go menu, advanced window. I'm going to go plugins. I'm going to go Move VR. And I'm going to hit that. And now if I go here, let me close this one. Where is it? Air server. I'm just going to go medium quality. But you can do high quality. I'll do best quality. Move to VR. Boom. There's ForeFlight. And now I could take ForeFlight and put it right here. There you go. Actually, I mean, it's a little hit on frames because I got two windows. But now I got ForeFlight right here. So, I was using Dash, and Dash has better graphic visibility, but Move VR is much more frame friendly and it works. So try Move VR with Air Server. Yeah, it's called Move VR. You can search it. Just go to X-Plane.org and search it. It's a downloadable on there. Move VR is one word, okay? But that's what I'm using now. Hope that helps. All right, I don't need that because I got the G1000 in here. Although probably would be nice to have that on my lap, but I don't want to give up the frames. In any event, so we got 43 miles, 10 minutes. We're cruising pretty quickly here. 152. Getting down to 1400, and we're going to land at Boston. Yeah, Move VR is awesome. Megaphone, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. We're just getting ready to land at KBOS Boston, Logan International Airport in Cirrus SF50 Vision Jet. We're doing a haul-back flight from St. John's to Cape May because basically one of our members decided to fly this plane 550 miles north without anybody in it. Boston, yeah, Boston. The Boston Red Sox. I guess that's Cape Hatteras out there. No, not Cape Hatteras. Cape Cod, Cape Hatteras. Did I just say Cape Hatteras in Massachusetts? Cape Cod. And you can see, like, this plane, as it runs, it starts to get a little jiggity with the, not, with like a slight judder when you move your head. Slight judder. I think this plane needs a little bit more efficiency. It would be really cool if someone like Aerobasque did a Vision Jet. Because then it would be a real Vision Jet. I mean, this is like, half the controls don't work. You know, flies cool, it's cool to have. You can use an FSE, you can make money with it and all that, but it's a laminar plane, so they're not going to put as much time and energy into a plane as like a Just Flight might, or an AFM, or Aerobasque, or those companies, because, you know, they're trying to model, or be Flight Air, they're trying to model things. This plane originally, until the G1000 came out, it was basically unflyable. Your hard drive's about to die, so your computer has been freezing up. That sucks. Well, you better get a new hard drive. Get an SSD, man. Forget hard drives. Well, I mean, you need a hard drive for ortho, but your boot drive, you should get an SSD. If you don't have one already, that's the way to go. Get a 500 gig SSD, a couple $100. I'm telling you, makes it a lot better. Chromza, hello to you. Good morning. Happy Sunday. All right, we're coming down to 2,300 to going to 14, 32 miles outside of our turn. There's the coast of Massachusetts right there. Not familiar with the geography, although I do know right out there is probably Cape Cod. Yeah, get an SSD for your boot drive and X-Plane. It'll help with loading. It'll load a lot faster. Like I like to keep applications on the SSD because they just load faster and run faster. But yeah, I have a 6 terabyte too. I recommend the WD Black drive. That's the one I have. It's a couple $100. It's been very solid for the last couple months. So almost evening where you are, so you must be in Australia. What's the plan? Well, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, this is the plan right there. We're heading into Boston, then we're going to go to Caldwell Airport, New Jersey, and we're bringing this plane back to its home in Cape May, New Jersey. Now, we started out in St. John's, New Brunswick. So that's the plan. Cape Cod. I have lots of friends in Massachusetts. One very good friend near Boston. But some family and friends up there. All right, coming to 1,600. Court, Australia. You're from France. Okay, 610 there. Okay. No, I am not a real-life pilot. I am a virtual pilot only, although I've got hundreds and hundreds of hours flying in VR. I was actually looking at the B1900D that I fly. It has an hour meter, and it's got, I think it's like 218 hours in that, and I've got like almost 100 hours in a PC-12. I've got a lot of hours in the Cessna, so Cape Cod. No, but my goal is to be a real-life pilot. Yeah, a strong sim enthusiasm is correct, yes. I fly every day in the sim, only in VR. I can't fly in 2D. It's just, to me, 2D just doesn't have any immersion for me. Once you land in VR, it's very difficult to go back. All right, so we're going to make our turn. Oh, no, we're going directly into Boston, so we should be... we don't have a turn here. We're going 22 miles, so pretty soon we should start to see our field. Yes, a strong sim enthusiasm, like most people in this stream. All right, let's get this little dolphin into Boston. Okay, 2D is good when your wife forces tasks on you. You still need to make FSE cash. Yeah, I don't know. I can't fly 2D, dude. It is amazing. It is amazing. Well, you fly in real life. That's, obviously much more amazing than it's going to be in VR. Where the hell are we going here? Let me pay attention to what I'm doing. So I should be coming right into the airport there. Yeah, I think you'll find M9, who's here. He's a real world pilot, and he uses VR, and he'll tell you that it's pretty realistic. For me, I mean, I'd like to see the PC-12 there, and the B1900. That would be cool. Never back to a monitor. Yeah, it's really hard. Hey, thanks for the follow, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Flight 209er clear
Thanks
for
for that
vector
follow. I
324.
appreciate
You
that.
have clearance, Clarence. Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
You have clearance, Clarence. What's our vector, Victor? What a great movie. All right, we're coming into Logan. I think I'm going to have to... I thought I'd be lined up to a runway, but it doesn't look like I am. Although that scenery is being built, so let's see how we're doing here. We still got 12 miles, but let me aviate here. Aviate and then Twitch 8. I could see a runway out there. All right, we got a little bit of ways. I think we're good. But I'm going to start slowing this baby down. Because Lord knows we can't land at 235. Aviate, navigate, communicate, Twitch 8. And Don't Call Me Shirley. What a great movie. All right, we got a runway. It's a little bit to the right of us. We have to line up, but we'll be good. All right, so let's get it down to 2. We'll come down to 200. Slow this baby down. What I haven't flown in a while is the Mooney, AFM's Mooney. I'm going to fly that. I know they're working on a big update. They put out an email like last week, I think it was, saying that they're working completely redoing the cockpit of the Ovation, which I can't wait to see. Because, I mean, the plane, I love the plane. I love the way it flies. The cockpit looked a little clunky. You know, not clunky is probably too harsh of a word. It looked like it could use improvement. And, you know, Coop and those guys, they see that, so they're improving it, which is great. What a great group of guys. All right, there's our runway. 170. So I'm taken by that white line that 150 is the first notch of flaps, which probably makes about sense. So bring her down there. Get our trim set. We want at least 2 in the middle. I'm going to throw that notch in now. Here we go. We get that gear down. And second notch. And we are on final, baby. No looking back now. Well, we could abort the landing, but I think we're going to be just fine. Keep it at 85. See what we look outside there. There's that little dolphin egg. I wish you could get rid of the reflections in the window. That would be one thing that would be cool to do. Like if sim coders did a reality pack for this, oh, I gotta speed up here a little bit. One thing I love about this plane is like you have this wide field of view. You know, you basically have no obstruction except for that big, you know, column in the middle. You really can see everything so well. Beautiful day here in Boston. The Logan Airport. Man, I think we have to wait till like the end of June for another Yankee Red Sox series, which sucks. There's a lot of them in the summer, though. It's going to be those two teams. They're going to be tight in the East all year. This looks to me like it's the GA air runway. Not as wide as the one to the right there.
500.
All right, let's get that angle down here. Love when that pops up right in the middle of landing. It's having rendering issues because Boston has so much, and I'm using the stock Boston. It's got so much autogen that it's, and I have textures on high, but I have real world objects on medium. All right, 90 knots over the water. So we are kind of chunking along here. Hopefully, once we take off, frames will come back. See how I have to keep like bobbing this plane? It should, in real life, there's no way the plane behaves like that. This plane, like, it's not a realistic plane. All right, let's see. I'm bobbing here. It shouldn't be. Let's throttle her down. All right, double touch there, but it's okay. June 29th. Okay. Yeah, I knew it was. I thought it was end of May, early July. Or sorry, end of June, early July. Set parking brake.
Parking brakes set.
Yeah, I mean the plane shouldn't bob up and down like that. I don't think. I'm not a real pilot, so. All right, so we ended that flight. Oh, what did I do here? And we've got, we're departing, let's see, I'll show you here. So we're going to be departing 4 passengers to Caldwell, 172 miles. Again, I'm going to throw 200 gallons in the tank. And we should be good to go. So let me hit that start button. We'll go over the VR Aviation update or retrospective for May. Should be on, let's see, en route. Yep, get rid of that. Minimize that window. And we're good to go. Let's see, we catch up here. How do you control the knobs and everything in VR? So you use the touch controllers, right? So basically I'm going to set my altitude to 8,000. So I can go here, grab with the touch controller, and rotate the altitude until I get to 8,000. All right. And I can go here. Oh, sorry. Let me go over here. And I'm going to set my flight director on. I'm going to set nav on. I'm going to say vertical speed. I'm going to roll this up. So my vertical speed, I'm just basically rolling this roller. I'm going to go to 1,000 feet per minute. Boom. And now we're good to go. I'm going to get my flaps to... I could do the flaps with this, but I use my yoke for that. You can use a touch controller basically to control anything. Runway not 03 in use. Right where the downwind. Gotcha. Thank you, man. Runway 4. Sorry. Confirm there's no way the PC-12 handles like... Oh, this isn't a PC-12, dude. This is a Cirrus jet. The PC-12, the Carinado PC-12 handles a little better, although the ground handling is awful. Do you have any idea if Sky Demon will work with Move VR? I'm not sure, but it should be able to bring in any window that you have on your desktop. And it's free, so you could try it, you know. It's a free plugin. Move VR is free. All right, Hawk, take care. Thanks for joining. Thanks for following, and safe flying, dude. Thanks for your input. Appreciate it. All right, let's get this bird up in the air. We got our load. We got everything programmed. Let's fire her up. And taking off to the southwest.
Approaching runway 15 left.
Or I should say
33
west.
right.
All right, we're going to pick up our next vector here.
Approaching runway 33 right.
There we go, and routine. Oh, see that? It's so touchy. Come on, guys. They got to fix that. We need someone to fix that. And let's get our autopilot on. Where is it? Boom, autopilot on. Yeah, so Magda, it's got this laser pointer thing too, so I can actually point at something and select it. So you point at something just to engage it, and then you pull the trigger deeper to select it. So that's kind of a cool feature. Ooh, look at Boston there in the morning light. 7:56 in the morning. It kind of looks like morning light. It really does. Pretty cool. Fenway's over there somewhere. Over that way. All right. Let's see. So we're going to get to 8,000 feet here. So we've got a little bit of a ways to go. We'll pull throttle back to 85. I agree. That's why this plane, it's just not realistic to fly. It's just not. And I'm hoping that SimCoders does something with it. Reality expansion pack for it, because it's pretty terrible. What's the best VR plane for a new pilot? The stock, in my opinion, the Laminar Research stock C-172 Cessna with the SimCoders reality expansion pack. Push it $20 to add that on, and that plane will be pretty nice. Most people have said it's a pretty realistic plane, easy to fly. If you want to fly it with a G1000 or you want to fly it with steam gauges, you can do either one, and it's a great plane to learn on. So I would definitely start there. I mean, yeah, the Piper Arrow too, but you're gonna have to pay $35 for that. So if you want to just start with not have to shell out any money, go with the default 172. Oh, you're a real world pilot. All right, well then the Just Flight. Just Flight planes are noted to have really good flight dynamics or flight characteristics. Also, the other plane is the Advanced Flight Modeling Mooney M20 Ovation. That's a great plane. A lot of people like that one. The V-Flight Air SR20 is a great plane. A lot of M9 flies that one. A lot of real world SR20, SR22 pilots will tell you that that plane is very, very realistic. So if you like the SR20 or the 22, go with that plane. Don't buy Carenato's SR22. It's a piece of junk. But the SR20, the V-Flight Air SR20 is very good. Oh, you're real world too. It's so cool, man, to have, like, we have we have maybe more. I know we have three. M9, Mr. Shiggity, and Magda. You guys are all real world pilots. If there anybody else in here, let me know that I missed. But that's awesome. I'm not wild about the Airfoil Labs 172, but some people love it. It's not very good in VR, yeah. It's not very good in VR. I mean, it's a great plane in 2D, but it's not very good in VR. Oh, Chromes are good. So 4 real-world pilots. That's so cool. And I got to tell you, like, it seems that with VR, flight simming with VR, the people that tend to watch my streams are people that are real-world pilots because they're interested in the bridge from VR to real world, getting into VR to practice real world. M9, I'm sure there's a couple other people on here. I don't know which one you guys have VR systems, but M9 and others will tell you that that bridge is, it's a really close bridge. I mean, obviously there's things like, inertia and emotion, or not emotion, well, emotion, yeah, but, actual motion and G-forces that you don't have, right? But as far as the visual sense of flying at 4,460 feet, you really get the sense for that, Your first solo flight was in 1974. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Kramza, I mean, would you say you guys are in the pilot, all you guys, you're in the pilot community. Would you say that when you talk to your pilot buddies that VR flying is like a topic of conversation? Is it something that real world pilots are more and more getting into? Or is there a hesitation? Or is it something that people are embracing? Would you guys have a feeling on that? I'm interested to know. You try to put your left hand on the sunscreen all the time, but it's not there. Yeah, that's weird. I guess you could put your left touch controller on it. That's funny. I'm so glad. It's so cool that we've got real pilots that watch this because that, it's just cool because to me, I've been involved with virtual reality for like almost 2 years now in different areas and stuff. And I always saw it as a way, for training, the training possibilities and all that. Especially if you're, I mean, we're going to get to the point probably in about 5 years. Although I really should be doing an update here, because I should. I'll just make this quick. in about 5 years, where you're going to have a 6 degree of freedom chair that you're going to be able to put in your house. It's going to be reasonably priced, under $1,000. But you're going to be able to hook all this shit up, and then you're going to have the feel of balance and all that. And it's going to make it incredible, you know. You try reaching for the yoke, yeah. I'm sure you do. All right, guys, I'm going to break the, I'm going to change the subject here because I feel I need to go over the our Aviation May update. So let's do that, okay? So I'm going to go, let's go to banking here. As you can see, right now, VR Aviation, never mind, these are my personal on the top here. The VR Aviation accounts, we've got 400, 500, about a little under $600,000 in cash. We go to monthly statement for May. We did 4.5 million in assignment income, 1.465 in net assignment income, which is great, another great month. 163,000 in aircraft operation. That's why it's important for us to have rentals on our planes, even though they're leased to our group or we own the planes. Having rental money brings this extra cash in, which is awesome. All right, so that's our overall operation. If we look at, let's take a look at each individual, the FBOs. So here, let me go to previous month. So here we had $185,000 profit in our operating on the FBO in the East, with 678 flights, which is great. That's a great amount. If we go to the West, previous month, we're looking at is this May? Yeah, we're looking at 114,000 in net operating profit, with 462. So that's like over 1,100 flights, or just about 1,100 flights, which is awesome. So it was a great month. I think we probably had 35 active pilots, which is incredible. And our FBOs just keep growing. Now we have a little bit of debt to pay off. With some of the FBOs that we bought for the West, we owe $650,000. So as we build this up, I'm going to pay that off and get us debt free again, and then we'll, you know, just keep adding the cash and think about what we want to do with it. As I mentioned before, I was thinking about maybe setting up a credit union for our group where you could borrow money from the group at really, really low rates, like 1% or something like that. But that's a plan down the road. And yeah, so we had a great month. It was awesome. Yeah, you'll be getting your money, dude. No, Sapper was nice enough to sold us these FBOs for the West, and he gave us a 0 interest loan, basically, on like $600,000. I think it's $600,000 that we own, and we want to so I want to pay that back as soon as possible, and then move on to other things. Don't like to have debt. So, in any event, so doing really well as far as aircraft goes. Still have the same. We haven't really added anything since my last stream, and I know I didn't put the last stream on YouTube yet. I'm going to do that. But make sure you get out and try these diamonds. If you own a Airbus Diamond DA62, really cool plane to fly. 6 passengers. It's a nice money maker. It sips the fuel. It's a really good money maker. I think better than the Baron, actually, for FSEconomy. I'd rather fly. I'd much rather fly it than the Baron, because the Baron's got kind of like shitty, you know, graphics and stuff, or 3D in the cockpit. This looks amazing in 3D. So make sure you check that out. We got 2 diamonds, one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast, and they're there for you to fly at reasonable rates. And don't forget, when you fly for the group, and you do an VR Aviation flight and you rent, you don't pay this rent. The group pays the rent. All right, you get 45% right off the top. So make sure if you have a Diamond DA62, make sure you check these out. All right. Let's see. So, Best plane in FSE. The Challenger's a great plane in FSE for cargo, and even you can make money on it with passengers. You know, because you could do like 4 assignments with 8 people, and you're saving the booking fees and all that. But it's a cool plane. I like this. I like the DA too because 6 passengers, flies pretty quick, and it sips the gas. So it's a good plane. 208's another great plane. My favorite planes in VR are in FSC are the 1900D, 208, the Challenger, and the DA 62 as far as money makers. Baron will probably be in there too, and also the C90. That's another one. It's a really good money maker. So yeah, and the PC. Oh yeah, the PC-12. Actually, the PC-12 is a great plane to fly in our Eastern hub because we've got a lot of these jobs that are like 4 or 5 or 8 passengers, and you can put together 3-hop trips where you can really maximize the seats. Here we go, W81. That's one of our newer hubs. So here you got 1, 2. This would be a perfect flight for a DA62 because you got, let's see, 81. Where is it? 81. 187 miles. So you can load this up with 6 people, and then on the return back you get 6 people, and be a great flight over Virginia area and make a nice chunk of change. So that's why I love that plane. So anyway, that's the update for the group. Oh, actually, no, let me show you this. I want to make sure everyone sees. We got the website here. All right, you can see all our aircraft listed, and all our liveries. So if you want to check out a VR Aviation livery, just go to this page and you click on that livery picture, and it'll take you right to the X-Plane.org download. So you can download. See, 93 people have downloaded the 208 livery. So make sure you check that out. And then we've also got a reports page on here where we list out all the flights that people have had and their income, their fees, their profit margin, their profit per nautical mile, which is awesome. And then we have a daily update down here. So if you want to see how the group's doing on a daily basis, so make sure you check that out too. And as I mentioned before, we got our FBO network, the West, which is a nice sprawling network with a couple of sub networks, and the East, which is a complete hub and spoke. Although there are a couple of smaller, I did do some linking to some of these just to increase the assignments in those areas. So that's the website. So make sure you check that out. All right, and that's the update, guys. Appreciate all the great flights from everybody, and keeping us a profitable entity. I have no doubt that will be number 2 this month. Because Snack Air is just so huge that it's hard to be number 1, but with Snack Air. But we should be number 2 in flights and number 2 in active pilots. So that's pretty cool. All right, I want to show you one more thing mentioned before, SimVR Labs. Let me show you that. So make sure you check this out. It's simvrlabs.com, and this dude Joe is free of charge doing enhancements for he's doing the SimVR. Oh, who's following there?
We have clearance.
Magdalena.
Roger,
Thank
Roger.
you.
What's our vector,
Magdalena. Yes. How you doing, Magdalena? Oh yeah, actually we were talking before. That doesn't have to do with Frank Zappa, does it? I'm just curious. There's a Frank Zappa song called Billy the Mountain with Magdalena in it. Anyway. So these are the aircraft that he's done. Mustang, the free Bell 429. You can see here all these planes, in particular the 208 Carenado and the 412. Now you can use autopilot in VR with those. He enhanced the DA62, and he's also working on a bunch of other ones. Let's see what he's working on here. With Mustang he finished, but he's working on the Chieftain and the 737. I'm hoping that he does the 1900D. But again, this is free, but you can support him through a donation. Please make sure you do that. He's doing some great work to make these third-party planes VR usable, and he does a great job. So make sure you check that out. SimVR Labs, right? Check that out. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. The May contest winners. So the May contest winners Oh wait, before I go there, let me see if I can do this. Give me 1 second here, guys. All right, I'm going to show you M9's work on there you go. Here's M9's work on, wow, that looks awesome, on KWWD. So he's got this airport, this hangar here. He's got the VR Aviation hangar over here, another hangar here, nice tower, some airports with some vintage aircraft. Oh, he's doing a nice job, man. This is going to be nice. Wow. Nice job, M9. That's going to be available on the org. Now, we commissioned him to do this, and it's well worth it to commission him if you want to have some 3D stuff created or you want an airport created. He's certainly willing to do that. So, and he accepts FSE virtual dollars. Just let him know what you want to get done, and he'll give you a price. All right, so that should be pretty cool, man. Looking forward to that. Thanks, M9. All right, so that's that. And the other thing I wanted to show you was let's see. The winners of the May contest were Skidmark and IC0Z. They were the top winners. And the reason why we had 2 winners this month was because Skidmark didn't quite make the 30% margin, but he also had like $368,000 in net earnings, which is incredible. So I didn't feel it was right to penalize him for not hitting the margin. And ICO0CZ, I know, worked very hard to keep above 30%, and he did a great job. So he also deserved to get first place. So I decided to pay 2 first place prizes this month. It cost us a little extra money to do that, but I thought that was the fair thing to do. And brought Megaphone, who would have been number 3. We brought him up to paid him second place money. So we gave out more money than we expected to in May, but I thought that was a fair way to do it. And also Crash at Distal was the person who won the profit margin bonus, which was 25,000 virtual dollars. He hit the profit margin of 50%, which is incredible. That's an awesome profit margin in FSC. So now this coming month, I'm going to hold everybody to the 25% profit margin minimum for the contest. Should be easy for everyone to hit. Of course, it would be much better if we were above 25%, like probably 30 to 35 is probably, what the target should be. And it's pretty simple to do that. All you have to do is make sure you keep the plane filled with passengers, and you manage your fuel, and you'll do fine. So if you keep those 2 things in mind, you'll probably have about a 40 to 45% profit margin, right? If you use the right planes. Anyway, so that's it for the contest. Congratulations to those guys. Thanks for all the flying from everyone in May that made us profitable. So anyway, that's it for the contest. So it's 2 hangars on the left are part of the museum. Oh yeah, there's a museum there. I meant to actually go there. I think they have an air show at that airport in the summer. I have to check it out. It'd be kind of cool to go there. Yeah, so it looks really cool, and looking forward to checking it out. Yeah, Sapper's going to be streaming after me, it looks like, and he's going to be flying that 404, which is now in VR, so be anxious to check that out. Magda is ready. Try Move VR and the Just Flight Piper. Yeah, I think you're gonna like that. Yeah, you do. I do the same thing, Megaphone, with the Challenger. I reposition on my own dime. I don't make the group pay for that. If you do that, then your profit margin will stay really high with the Challenger. I agree with you. In any plane, really, you do the repositioning on your own. You know, I think that's where Skidmark got into some trouble. He was repositioning on VRA's dime, which, which is the reason why I think he had a 27% profit margin. That's why I was like, I can't penalize the guy. He's flying his ass off. He had like 220 flights or something like that. I can't penalize the guy because, he was a couple of points below an arbitrary number that I made up, right? So that's why I decided to keep it fair and pay 2 first prizes. I thought people would be cool with that. So you're cool. Yeah, let us know how it works, man. But I'm sure you're gonna like it. All right, cool. Let me get back into the headset here. All right, where are we? 90 miles from our turn. 20 minutes from our turn. We're 85. We're cruising at 168 ground speed. And you can see as I'm moving my head here, we're getting a little bit of stuttering. That's because, as I said, this jet, I should say, it's got some problems. As you run it longer, it starts to stutter a little bit. To get ForeFlight in the cockpit, I have an iPad. Yeah, so you have an iPad. Who's asking that? You're asking me? Use Air Server, which is, I think it's like $10 or something. And that allows you to mirror your iPad on your PC, and then you bring that Air Server window into the cockpit using MovieR. That's how you do it. Guys, I'm going to step away for a minute here, and I'll be right back, okay? All right, I'm back, guys. Hey, Crasher, how you doing, man? We were just talking about you. Your ears are probably ringing. I mentioned how you were the winner of the margin contest for last month, which was awesome. 50% margin, and Crash actually went from a 12% margin the previous month to 50%. So he did an excellent job. I have not seen them in here, dude. All right, so let's think about Caldwell. We got 17 minutes. Let's see. Caldwell is going to be at... Our elevation is going to be at 172, so I want to be at about 1,500 feet. I come into Caldwell. Actually, do we have to worry about any peaks here? This is telling me 2,000. Yeah, I guess I'll stay at 2,000. All right, let's crank her down. Oh, you're going to be excluding yourself this month? Okay, dude. I'll try to remember that. Appreciate that. Thank you. Let everybody else have a chance. We're going to bring this down to 2,000. And let's see, what are we at? We're at 8, so we got a little more time here to stay at 8,000. Yeah, Move VR is the way to go, man. It's much better. It's better than OVR Drop. It's better than Dash. It's definitely the way to go. And you're welcome for the prize money. It was hard earned. Now, ordinarily, on a trip like this, I would be using Move VR to either watch a baseball game in the cockpit or like a video. Like I've been, watch a video like Joe Rogan. I don't know if you guys watch Joe Rogan. He's a great interviewer, man. He's got some great people on. And I was watching actually Joe Rogan interview Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, which is a pretty good one. So I'll watch that, or watch videos on like, lately I'm into like food health. I don't want to preach. I'm not going to preach. But, I basically am awakening myself to the horrors that the food industry in the United States commit to our people. I mean, I tell you, man, you watch this movie called Food Inc., it'll change the way you think about food. I don't know if you guys watched Food Inc. If you live in the United States, I'm not sure how it is in the UK and in Europe and stuff. I know you guys, it's probably similar. But in the United States, watch this movie called Food Inc., and it will open your eyes to what you got to be careful about as far as buying food in the United States and what you put into your body. Like, for example, here's the fact. Who uses the most beef of anybody in the United States? The fast food restaurants, right? McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King. They use more beef than any companies in the world, in the United States. In fact, it's a 70% use. So 70% of the beef that's produced in this country, in our United States, is used by the fast food restaurants. So that means that beef is designed and raised and managed and slaughtered and stored and manipulated to the standards of those fast food restaurants, because those are the ones that are buying the most of it. Now, that 30% is the meat that we buy when you go into your local grocery store and you pick a London broil or a couple of filet mignon steaks out of the meat display. If you're just buying whatever the meat is, you're buying that 30%. So your meat is basically made the same way as the meat or processed the same way as the meat that the fast food chains use. If you watch how they do it, you're never going to eat that meat again. Because number one, they don't feed it what those animals eat in real life, in their natural habitat. Like a cow, what does a cow eat? Grass, right? Chicken eats grass and seeds along the grass seed and stuff like that. Okay, what do they feed industrial cattle and industrial chicken? Corn, because corn is the abundant product of the United States, right? That means those cows are not eating what they were designed to eat, and those chickens are not eating what they were designed to eat. Just watch the movie. Again, I'm not going to preach about it, but I'll tell you what, after watching that movie, I also went to see my doctor about, on a physical, and had to talk with him. And you could probably see from the video, I'm overweight. I'm an overweight guy, and I have to lose some weight. And you can just tell by looking at my hands and arms. I will tell you that I no longer am going to eat meat that comes from the standard outlet. Any meat that I put in my body is going to be pasture raised and grass fed, because that's what those animals are supposed to eat. And they're not genetically modified. They're not designed like the chickens that Tyson's sells you are designed to have larger white meat breasts, and to the point where when they're being raised, they can't even walk because they're so large. And they're also designed to reach maturity in 7 weeks versus 12 weeks. So watch that movie Food Inc. and it'll change your life. Change my life, I'll tell you that. But anyway, I watch those videos a lot in the cockpit, and music stuff and stuff like that. So it's really cool. Having Move VR is a great companion. Now, I know in real life you wouldn't be watching movies. In fact, I think I posted a video on Facebook of me in the cockpit using, watching a baseball game, and some guy criticized me, saying that it wasn't very good practice to watch movies while you were flying a plane. And I wanted to say, dude, I'm flying a VR plane, But anyway, it's a nice thing to have, and especially if you're on those long trips. Let's see, you left your job at Cisco 3 years ago, and it's gross. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Yeah, we're lucky enough to have a farm right around the corner from our house that raises chicken and beef and slaughters it themselves, and it's all grass fed, and it's all good stock. So that's where we're buying and it's more expensive, but that's where we're buying our stuff now. Although fairly slim, I'm probably fairing up on the inside like an old kettle. Yeah, I gave up alcohol. That was good. Lost 7 pounds in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, alcohol. I mean, I love a beer, dude, right? And I love a glass of wine. But alcohol is a major inflammatory, so they're starting to believe that weight gain and the obesity problem in the United States, although caused by major amounts of sugar in processed foods, is also caused by inflammation, because you're not eating the right food. Like eating too much beef and eating too much beef that's not grass-fed can cause inflammation in your body, and that causes your cells not to work. The whole thought process behind it. So, and alcohol is one of those things that can cause that inflammation. So it's like anything else, in excess, it's going to cause you problems. I think a beer once a week is not going to kill you. But if you have, you know, a 6-pack every day, you know, you're going to have a problem, you know. But anyway, it's eye-opening, and it's kind of cool. All right, I got to get down here, so I'm going to go down to 2,000. And let's get to vertical speed, and we're going to go down 500. Oh, actually, we're going to go down to 800 feet per minute, and we're going to pull back on that throttle a little bit. There's a bunch of movies about that you can watch, like Food Inc. is one. There's this movie called Fed Up, which is about the sugar in the processed food, you know, the food industry and their use of sugar and high fructose corn syrup. You know, there's a big craze. There were, you know, a couple years back, or maybe 10 years back, there was this big craze for everything to be fat-free, reduced fat. So they had reduced fat cookies, reduced fat bread, reduced fat cake, reduced fat, you know, all the things you love to eat. Reduced fat. So you thought, oh, I can eat that because it has less fat. But if you really read it, to make it taste good, they removed the fat, but they had to add sugar, because if they just removed the fat, it would taste like chalk. So they added more sugar. So these reduced fat things, processed foods, have like twice the sugar in them. So you got to be careful of sugar. Anyway, so let's see, where am I? I'm 38 miles out. So we're coming down to 2,000. I'm going to land at Caldwell. I think I'm going to end it at Caldwell, guys, because I've got, I'm not going to be able to finish this flight right now. I've got to go do something. So this took a little longer than I thought. So we're going to land at Caldwell here, and then I promise you that I'm going to bring this plane back to Cape May. But this will at least complete all the what do you call it? Flights with money. All right, let me just check one thing here. All right. What is Sky Demon, Magda? What is Sky Demon? I'm curious. Magdalena. I don't even know what it is. Oh, it's like ForeFlight. Okay, but for Europe. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you could see the that's the Palisades right there along the Hudson River. That's the Hudson River. And those are the Palisades, I can tell. Gotcha. Okay, so it's four. I'm surprised ForeFlight is. I guess ForeFlight is only North America. I'm surprised that they haven't moved their franchise to Europe. It's so commonly used by real-world pilots in general aviation. I'm surprised that they haven't moved to Europe. Are they a bit? Do they have that? Do they have? I don't think they do. Right? I think it's just North America. There's the Upper Hudson. The Tappan Zee is probably right around there. Tappan Zee Bridge, that is. And then you go down the Hudson, and down that way is New York City. They're expanding, okay. All right, so they're adding Canada and Europe. Gotcha. Do you know if there's a way from SkyVector? So if I create my flight plans on SkyVector, right? And I can save them to my desktop in .fpl format. Is there a way to bring those flight plans into ForeFlight? Now I have the basic ForeFlight plan. I'm not going to pay more than $100 a year for it. But is there a way to import flight plans into ForeFlight? Probably is, because it would be so cool if I could do that. If you guys know, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm sure that's a Tappan Zee down there. All right, so we got 23 miles, and we're making our way down to 2,000 feet. 5 minutes into or 6 minutes. Yeah, about 6 minutes in our turn into Caldwell. I haven't, I looked a while back, playing with it just to see if you could import a flight plan, and I couldn't figure it out. Maybe that's like a capability of the expanded version. Well, I could save it to, I have a converter to save it to FMS, so I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about, is there a way, because if you can import FMS or FPL into I know FPL is Garmin, right? Is a Garmin format, pretty sure. I'm just wondering if ForeFlight has an import feature. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. Yeah, I have this little conversion program that basically converts from FPL to FMS. So I could have it in either format. It's just whether you can, is there an import function in ForeFlight? Again, I couldn't find that. There's the Palisades right there. Right around here is West Point, too. Okay, you use it for free trial. Yeah, again, I try to do it. I didn't put a whole lot of investigative time into figuring it out. I just thought one of you guys might know off the top of your head. All right, so we're coming down to 2,500. Settle at 2,000, and then into Caldwell. This was a fun trip. Now, normally, there's a Tappan Zee right there. Actually, they did a pretty good, decent job modeling, although they're doing major reconstruction. They're building a new bridge, basically. I don't know if it's finished yet, but the new bridge looks amazing. That's the Tappan Zee, and then it'll take you to right there. Over there is like the New Jersey Garden State Parkway and all that stuff. Yeah, iPad 2 would be I have the newer iPad. I bought it like a 8 months ago. Because I had an iPad 3, which was, you know, acting like a dog. Still have it, actually. I should sell it. All right, 2,000, 15 miles. Let's start to slow up here. How much? I don't know. I don't know how much I'm going to sell it for. I guess I'm not sure what it's going for. I have to check on eBay. It would cost too much money to ship it to the UK, though, Crash. That's the problem. I'll probably just sell it on eBay. I think my wife is using it, so. Well, I bought her she has a, the iPhone, the plus size iPhone, so I don't know if she still uses the iPad. Yeah, I've heard a lot about Little Nav. I haven't, I downloaded it. I haven't taken a look at it because I use ForeFlight, you know. All right, let's see. Let's aviate here. So we've got 12 miles to our turn. We keep it around 150 knots. Oh, sorry. Gotcha. My bad. My bad. Yeah, people rave about Little Nav. I guess I should have checked it out. I wanted ForeFlight because I like the way the screen looks and stuff, and it's kind of like what everyone uses. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to have for streaming and for, you know, for virtual piloting, if you will. All right, 4 minutes, make our turn, get this bird on the ground. Call it a day. We've already flown 480 miles, something like that. So kind of a long day in the Cirrus here. Could probably come down to 1,500. Tell you what, we'll go to 1,600. Just go down slow. Yeah, I should have looked at Little Nav before. Maybe I'll switch to that and have to pay the $100 a year, but I do like ForeFlight. I was using Flight Plan Go before this, and that was free too, but it just didn't have the features. And actually, it had problems with it. It wasn't working. Yeah, that's the thing too. You know, there's some features that you don't get with the 99, the basic version of ForeFlight. You know, ForeFlight's $100 a year for the basic, and I think the pro version's like 179, I think, a year, something like that. Oh, it was okay. Yeah, right. It was for specifically for simming. All right, I'm gonna have to check it out because if it could save me $100 a year, you know, why not? Does Little Nav run on the iPad, or is it PC based? Yeah, ForeFlight has the weather too. You can overlay. You can overlay the Doppler radar stuff. Yeah, right. And you know that's expensive. Went to this farm yesterday, and it was probably about a 6-pound chicken was $23. That's a lot of money for a chicken. But you know what? You got to put good food in your body. So, alrighty, we are getting close here. A little too slow. I want to be at 130. Be at 140. The tile for Gatwick. Now all the airport lighting poles are 80 feet off the ground. That seems strange. I'm not sure why the ortho would affect the positioning of autogen. It's kind of weird. I know you got to be careful about the order in the scenery INI file, whatever it is. So maybe it's an order issue. Like your libraries need to be after your airports. There's some threads on the order of that file. That things need to be in that file. So maybe it's that. Oh, you have X organizer. Then that kind of does it for you, I think. I have that too. I never really used that. I probably should. All right, I'm gonna have to aviate here now. Northern New Jersey here. Caldwell Airport. Making our turn into Caldwell. See if we can pick up that airfield once we make this turn. Alright, let's see. 5 miles. We should see it, right? I don't have a visual on it. Oh, there it is. Alright, I'm a little out of kilter here, so let's take it this way. Alright, I'll get that first notch of flaps in there. Set our elevator trim. Get that stupid bob. I hate that bob. The nose of the plane keeps bobbing up and down. You just barely touch the yoke and it just bobs up and down. You can't get that gear down. There's my airfield right there. Alright, second notch. Go. All flared out and ready to go. Yeah, we need sim coders. Sim coders, if you're listening, if you're watching this stream, which you're probably not, please work on a reality expansion pack for this plane, this jet. It would be awesome if you could do that. All right, get our speed down a little bit. There it says scenery load. Please don't crash. Thank you. Please don't crash.
500.
Man, it is like chugging here. Next thing you know, I'm going to get the rendering screen in the middle of landing. 93 knots. All right. Short final. 85. See that bobbing? It's so touchy. It's like it's a windy day and I have no wind on. This thing should be like smooth. That's why we need a reality expansion pack. All right, over the fence at 80. Get that down there. Flare it up. Throttle down. Rear down. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on. There you go. That was weird. All right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not very realistic. You know, I mean, again, I don't have anything to compare it against because I'm not a real world pilot, but it doesn't, compared to flying all the other planes I fly, let's put it that way, in VR and X-Plane, it is not, doesn't seem very realistic. But it's fun to fly and it carries 4 people. You do barrel rolls in it. Probably should have done one. Well, I love that DA62. I tell you, my 2 favorite planes to fly are the SR-20 and the DA62 and the X-Plane VR. There's no question. Those are my 2 favorite planes to fly. And the Mooney. I gotta put the Mooney in there too. Those 3 are my favorite. All right, we're gonna just put her over here. We'll just hang here. Set parking brake.
Parking brake set.
You've already forgiven me for making you buy the diamond. That's a great plane, man. All right, let me get rid of this. Let me just finish here. Do that. And we are at Caldwell, but I'm gonna head. At some point, I'll head down to what do you call it? Back home. Not right now, though. All right, let me pull this up here. So as far as how we did money-wise, not too bad. I mean, you know, let's see, 37, 28, 34, not bad. Those are decent amounts of money. You can see here we made $2,000 for the group. We made another 1,500, so 3,500 for the group, and then another $2,000, so $5,500. Not bad. And we're bringing the plane back to where it belongs. So pretty good, pretty good venture. So I'll bring this back to Cape May in a little bit, and it'll be there for you guys to fly, and we'll take it from there, guys. So that's going to about do it for me. I appreciate you guys watching. So long to all you guys, VR aviation pilots and others, and all you real-world pilots. Thanks for all your input. It's always great to talk to people that fly in the real world. It helps me understand stuff, and I'm sure others in the stream, so appreciate it. And yeah, so check out Crash's, actually I think Sapper's going to be streaming. Actually, let me see if he's streaming now. Hold on a second here. No, I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give John Fly a host for now, and then I'll because Sapper's going to be in 20 minutes. Let me give John Fly a host, and we'll take it from there, guys. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching, and make sure you check out Sapper in about 20 minutes, and Cast and Crash if he's going to be flying as well. So check him out, and we'll take it from there, guys. Take care and have a great day.